Hi everyone, welcome to Hilltop View Journals. Today I'm looking at prompt number 3 for the challenge, which is 10 days of bits and pieces that I am co-hosting with Inky Mia over on Instagram. And Inky Mia is sharing all her work on Instagram. I'm sharing a little bit of my work on Instagram, but I'm sharing it here with everyone who's watching my YouTube videos. Now today I am going to admit it is quite a challenge for me to do tea bags because I've never used tea bags in my work before, and I did a little bit of experimenting last night and using different types of tea bags. So I'll go through the tea bags I've got here at the moment. These ones I purchased off Amazon, so they are clean tea bags and they're small little ones. I think you can get different sizes, and I certainly would buy different sizes because they are kind of neat to use, very easy to use. And here I've added a little bit of gesso, and I'll show you why I've added gesso in a little bit. I've also got some used round tea bags. Now I've got tons and tons and tons of these, and I have used these in projects, and I've used them to cover journal covers. And I will dig out, if I remember, I will dig out a journal to show you how that looks like. But it's very much, I've used these under lots of layers of mixed media to create some texture. So that's how I generally use my tea bags. What I've also got here are a couple of tea bags that are from fruit teas. These ones are from fruit teas that I haven't used because I didn't like the flavour. So I've emptied all the bits out of, all the sort of tea leaves out of them, and then I've coffee stained them so they look like they're used, but they're not. And this again is another type of fruit tea that I don't like, and I've emptied it and then I've coffee stained it. So that's an option if you've got stuff in your cupboards that you want to use up. I was quite happy to waste the tea bags because I wasn't drinking them anyway. So they're the kind of tea bags that I've been playing with. And then the ideas I've come up with so far, which are not vast by any shape, and because of that reason I will be putting a load of links to videos that I've watched over the weekend about tea bag art. I'll put them in the description box, you can have a look, and I will have a PDF of tea bag art as well up on my Ko-fi shop as soon as I can, so I'll put the link in as soon as that's available. So you don't need to watch this video and hope that you're going to get loads and loads of ideas, because I haven't got that many ideas, but I will certainly provide you with the inspiration from other artists. So I did a little bit of doodling, and I've used watered down acrylic ink on that one. So I think that would look nice in some kind of spread on a page. So I was happy with that. It didn't work out for everything though, and I found that it didn't look very nice when I just did an outline. It only looked better to me in my eyes when I coloured it in. I've used a couple of dried leaves and a flower here. So these turned out quite nice. I used, oh gosh, what's it called now? Yes, so matte gel. I used matte gel to glue down the leaves and that there, this lovely petal, and then I covered them over with a what's it called, mineral paint, which is like a varnish, fusion mineral paint. I'm sure you could use other types of varnish. Give it a go. This is really good, but it's not cheap. And then I did a little bit of stamping on these. The problem with this, of course, is it glues the tea bag together. So that's the only downside to that. But I quite like them. It's gone kind of translucent because of the varnish. So if you don't like that look, then don't use varnish. But if you don't use varnish, then you don't get some protection on your leaves. Depends on what you're doing with these once you've added them to your journal. I did some other doodles then, so I did one over gesso, and I like that look. And then I just did one plain on a tea bag, and then I did one on a plain tea bag with pen, and I used then a little bit of distressing and a little bit of stamping, and I quite like that as well. And what's really handy is you can, if I just grab this here, you can add then like pretty little tags inside, and that looks quite nice. I think that'd look nice on a page, and you could then, when you put it on a page, this could actually become a tuck spot or a pocket. So I like that idea. So that was a really simple thing to do. I haven't tried watercolours on them yet. I was going to give that a go tonight to see what it looks like, but I certainly would do a lot more doodling, and I enjoy doing that. What I'm settling for though is the use of stickers, because one, I hardly ever use stickers in my work, and I've got tons of them, and two, they turned out quite well. Fair play. This is the one that I'm going to show you how I've done, but I'm going to try a couple of different techniques on it, and I really like how that's turned out. This one hasn't got that rim on there, so I really like that, and I think with a little bit of distressing that will look really pretty, so maybe we'll distress that up together. This one, you can see there's a like a rim going all the way round, and that's why I then had the idea of using gesso so that that rim kind of blends into the background. So we'll see how that goes. And then these are a couple of other ones, so it all depends on what stickers you've got, but I quite like how these have turned out, and I think they're just great little additions. I do like the grungy ones, and on some of these what I've done then is I've added some book pages inside. Actually, this is glued now, so it's glued together. I think I could probably pop something in the back there. Yeah, so I glued in the book page, and then I can add something in the back. So that's turned out quite nice, all grunged up. This one is just a plain sheet, and I think that would look really pretty as an embellishment. Really like this one, and this one I've left open, and you can pull out the book page. And you can see the outline, but I don't think it looks too bad at all, really. This one's a really grungy one. This one then I used, where is it? So I used these stickers, but they've got quite a shiny element to them. And yeah, I couldn't quite get it right on there. So you can see the shiny element on there. But, you know, if you don't mind that, then it works out quite well. So that's that. So we're going to have a play with this, and I am going to use a plain unblemished tea bag, and I'm going to use one that's got gesso on it. So the gesso I am using, let me just stretch over here, is plain old cheap white gesso. So that's the one I'm going to use. And the other thing, now I do appreciate actually that if you haven't got tea bags like this, then you may feel a little bit lost, but please do go and use a tea bag from your stash. You can quite easily use an unused tea bag and then grunge it up. So that's no problem at all. You don't have to have these brand new tea bags and having to purchase something. Just use something out of your cupboard. What else was I going to say now then? Kind of lost my train of thought now. But anyway, let's give these a go. Oh yes, stickers. So I'm going to use stickers from this book, which is called Blooming as Flowers. And I'll provide the link. It's from Amazon. And I've also got a similar one, which is Butterflies, which again is lovely if you like butterflies. And what you can do with these is they've got pages in the back that you can actually fussy cut as well. And you could fussy cut the butterflies out, and then you wouldn't have the rim. But some of these haven't got rims on them, and some of them have. So if I lift that one up, for instance, you can see that there is a rim on there. And I think you do get that with a lot of stickers. But not everyone has got a rim on there, so it's worth having a look at your stash to see what you've got. I am relying though on my stash today. I do try and use what I've got to hand, but for this one, as I've said, it's something new to me, and I've not really used tea bags much in my work. So let's find a label for this one, and I think so what I found was really useful is choosing a label that isn't too fussy around the edges. because then it became easy to grade the edges into the tea bag. So I did find these really useful. And so this one, let's try and find one that's got a rim on it so you can kind of see what I mean. So I've got a round one here. So I'm going to put this one on the gesso one. And you see there now the rim nicely blends into the background. And then let's try and find a more fussier one, but not too fussy because it's a lot of work then. And I know you haven't got all day to watch me play about. Some of these are really, really fussy. Let's have a look at the butterfly ones. I was really racking my brains trying to think of, what can I do with tea bags? And in the end I thought, well, they're just like any other bits of paper, aren't they? They're, it shouldn't be that difficult. Just like a base for you to play with. So let's pop this one on here. Oh. There we are. So you can see quite clearly the rim around this. But we're going to try and disguise that. And then the other thing, let's have a go at doing it, just in case you haven't got stickers. Let's give it a go using something like fussy cuts. So say you've got some nice book pages, or you've got digital kits like I've got here. Let's do a fussy cut one as well to see what it looks like. So I just want to do something simple. I don't want anything too complicated. Don't think the gesso one is actually needed for this. I think probably I'd be better off just using a plain one. So maybe if I just do a little bit of put a little bit of book page here. My desk is awash. It's a mess, as you'd expect. It's always the way with a challenge. And I am thinking of actually cutting off the antenna, and I'll draw it back in. And I think I will try and just soften the white edges a little bit. Okay, I'm happy with that. So you can have it coming off the edge if you like. So I quite like quite like that. And what we can also do is add some book pages in the middle as well. So I think the more jaggedy, the better it is with a tea bag. Of course, it's got to fit in. So when you glue things down, you've got to be careful that you, well, try and be careful and not glue the back side. I should have mentioned that earlier, actually. So let's just rip this. Okay, so that's that. And then what you can do is you can add some different types of distressing. So let's do this. Now I found, it depends on how grungy you want it to look, but I found what was quite a nice colour was brushed corduroy distress oxide. And just come in and do a little bit of distressing just to take the edge off the newness. And then you can use like a script stamp or whichever you like to use, and you can just do some delicate stamping just to give it a little bit more texture. And then with my pen I will draw in the antennae. Probably a thinner pen would have looked better, but there we go. So that's a really quick and easy way to do a decorative pocket. And then of course I will try and find, or maybe I can just pop this in. I got this on my desk here. What I could do then is pop something like that, and I'll find something more suitable, but it gives you an idea of what you can pop in. So that's that one, that's that idea. And then with this one, I think I'd like to go a little bit more grungy on that. So I'm going to use, what have I got here? I've got ground espresso. So I'm going to go around the edge with ground espresso. And what you can do then is if you fold up little pieces of the tea bag, you can then add in a little bit more distressing, like that. And I'm going to do some stamping. It's great for stamping, this project. And I'm also going to use a little bit of the brushed corduroy as well. So I think vintage photo would look really nice on this as well. I just didn't have any to hand. And you could put a little sentiment there, or you could add bits of book page underneath before you add the sticker. I mean, there's lots of different things that you could do there. You could add another little embellishment. I don't think I've got anything suitable to hand, but I'll have a quick look. I was thinking something like a, let's have a look, like a little, doesn't quite go with that, but little die cut. I haven't got any small watercolour doodles here, or even something like that. So that's quite pretty. Yeah, maybe I'll do that. Let's add that. So you get the idea. Let's pop that on. So if you don't want it to stick, or you want to be able to go in there, it's a bit difficult actually. So when you put the gesso on, I think what you'll find is it will actually stick the back. So that's something to consider. So I can't really put anything in this one. So that's a lesson learnt there. So let's try and create this one. And I need another tea bag. Oh no, I've put the sticker on somewhere, haven't I? So I've got an old brush, I've got some gesso here, and I've also got a wet wipe. Because when you go around to try and mask that white bit, you'll probably end up getting gesso on the bits that you don't want the gesso on. So this is what I did, was I just went round and blended the label in. And if you want to keep this open, then it would be a good idea at this point to pop something inside. So I'll put some book page inside, see if I can get it in. So hopefully this will keep one side open so you can pop something in the back then. So you want to leave that dry. So I've just dried it off with a heat gun. Just make sure this is, yep, I've still got room in the back that I can pop something in. And then what I'm going to do is do a little bit of this colour, which is the ground espresso. I'm going to do that first. Again, just to give it that used look. And then what I did for my example one was I went in with a brushed corduroy and went quite close up to the sticker. And I think what I'll do for this one is I'll use a bit of mixed print for them both. So I'll go with the lighter one first and do the lighter one down there so you can see the difference then. So that's quite similar actually, but I'm also going to go in with this and do a little bit more here. So you do need to experiment a little bit with your stash to see what you've got, what works and what doesn't work. but it does blend it in quite nicely. You can just use your wet wipe to try and get some off the sticker if the gesso's gone on there. If you don't have gesso, you could use acrylic paint, white acrylic paint. I'm sure that will work just as well. There we are. So that's blended in quite well into the background, and I suppose I think it's easier to have the gesso underneath before you actually put your label on. I think it's an easier option. You could still go over the edge as well with a little bit more gesso if you wanted to, but I quite like these. I think they're really quick and easy to make. You could easily mass make these. So what I'm going to do now is I am going to do my page spread for prompt number 3 with you on camera, and hopefully we'll get it looking reasonable. So I want to keep my page spreads really simple, so I'm using just minimal supplies and very few pieces to decorate each page. I do find that the background is really helpful. It does provide some nice texture and interest when you're using different book pages and music paper and things like that. So I'm really enjoying working on top of these sort of collage backgrounds, or ready prepared backgrounds. It does save a little bit of time. I have struggled to introduce colour to my first 2 spreads. Obviously this one is very neutral. We've got just a touch of red here, so I'm hoping to bring out that red a little bit more with this one. And I thought I'd go with using a tea bag as a background, so you can still see the lovely print in the background, but this offers it a little bit more texture. And the other bits I've got here, I've got some snippet strips, or one tiny piece of a snippet strip. So again, it's neutral, but it's got a little bit of red in, so I thought I could use that on the page as well. And I've got my tea bag, and this one I can actually store things in there. So I thought I would use this pre-made tag, and I'm going to leave it plain because I think it works really well. Sort of the contrast, because there's busyness going on everywhere else. So I thought I'd sort of, I don't know, place that there. Something like that maybe. I've got some material here, so I thought that might work out okay. Now I would like a little bit of different material, so I've got this strip here. So let's see if I can incorporate that. Maybe if I put that there, just to add a couple more layers. That there, or maybe the other way around, not too sure. So that's how that's looking. And then I was thinking of kind of putting that to one side like that. And then what I've also got, actually you can't really see that material there. Let's bring that out. Put that there like that. I think that looks a bit better. Pop that like that. And then I've got this piece of dried flower there. So So you've got that pop of colour and then you've got very neutral. So I thought, you know, I'm trying to play with tones and textures. And I did have this little strip of tape left, and I thought I wouldn't mind trying to incorporate that, but I don't know whether it's going to be a little bit much. I thought that butterfly was quite nice, so I may cut it and see if I can incorporate it somehow, but I'm struggling to find my scissors. Oh, here they go. Here they are. Let's have a look at that. It's a bit much, I think. Maybe if I sort of hide it behind there like that, just to get a hint of it. I'm not too sure if I like that. Leave it there for a second, and I was going to use some of my faux tape, which is basically shiny sellotape with ink on top to make it look aged, and I was going to use that on the tea bag. Now I wonder if maybe I can just put that like that, and then it offers a little bit of interest when you pop it out. I just think it's kind of missing something there, and when you're looking at it from this position, it's quite hard to work out what it's missing. But that doesn't look right to me. Can't explain why. It just doesn't look right. Maybe it's a little bit too bold. Okay, so why don't we see what's in my little butterfly book. Quite like that. I think I'll see what that looks like. Yeah, I quite like it behind there, so I'm going to pop that behind there. Yeah, I like that. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to do some hand stitching on that, and then I'll glue it all together. So whilst very clumsily stitching that together, I broke the stem of the flower. So I'm going to have to fix that. Pop that to one side. I'm going to glue this down with a glue stick. Just lightly, just to give it some wrinkles. I'm going to pop this into place with some hot glue. just got this piece to put in. And I do quite like it going off on the side. So if this was in a normal journal, I probably would leave the back open as well and create a second pocket, or if I had a page ending here, you could tuck something in there, or a secret note or something like that. But I haven't got any of those, so I'm just going to glue it in place. And it's probably going to glue... Oh, actually, I think what I'll do is I'll just glue the bottom and sides, so I don't actually glue the tag in place, because the tea bag paper is obviously quite porous. It'll glue the tag then, so that's still able to be opened. I just need to pop a little bit of glue there. And then the final thing I need to do is pop some of this faux tape. And if you want to know how to make this faux tape, then please go and see one of Ephemera's recent posts on Instagram, where she demonstrates how she makes this. And there we have a finished page spread for Teabag. So I hope you found this really quick and simple idea for tea bags useful. I will definitely leave you with some very good videos, the descriptions, the links will be in my description box of various ideas for how to use tea bags in your junk journals. There are absolutely loads of different ways, and I really am encouraged by watching those videos. I'm encouraged to do a little bit more experimentation and maybe try and make a journal out of the tea bags, and there's so many other ideas as well. So all those will be in the description box below. So this is prompt number 3 for the 10 days of bits and pieces challenge, and just as a reminder, this is a low stress, I would say, and laid back challenge for October. We are on prompt number 3, tea bags, and the next one is collage papers. So we are hoping that these prompts are very broad so that you can think about them and just do what you feel happy with doing, and just keep crafting really for the month of October. We are sharing our creations on Instagram, myself and Ephemera, but I'm also sharing whatever I can on YouTube as well. So if you're happy to share your creations, please do pop over to Instagram and use the hashtag 10 days of bits and pieces 2025. But that's all I'm going to do for tea bags for now. I'm going to leave you with these ideas, and I'd love to see you make some very similar things to this. It'd be great if you could share your creations online, and I will catch up with you in the next video, and I hope to see you soon. Bye bye for now.